Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to go over some practice questions for Unit 3, BTEC Business Level 3 Personal and Business Finance exam. So the first question is, identify two different types of current accounts. Now this is a 2-mark question, so you would give two possible answers. And some possible answers that you can give can be a standard, a packaged, a premium account, a student account, or a basic account. And if you write down any two of these, you'll get 2 marks. Identify two features of travel insurance. Again, this is a 2-mark question, so you would identify two features of travel insurance. Now, some possible answers that you can give is it will cover the loss, theft, or damage of belongings. It can cover illness. It can cover cancellation of holiday, it can cover any medical emergencies, and it protects the individual. Now outline two advantages to the consumer of using a price comparison website. Now this is a 4-mark question. So the way that this question will work is that you would get 1 mark for the advantage and then 1 mark for the development of an advantage. So for example, some possible answers that you'd give is that it's easy to access. Now that's 1 mark. As it is available 24/7, that's 2 marks. And you do the same for the second one. So it saves time as you only have to put your details in once. And it saves money as it is free to use. There has been recent growth in the use of contactless payments. Discuss the benefits to the consumer of this method of payment. Now, for this question, you should write 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages. So I've written a model answer for this question. So one advantage of consumers using contactless payment is that it's a convenient payment method as it's accepted at many outlets. However, one disadvantage of consumers using contactless payment is that consumers are likely to spend more money, putting them in risk to going into debt. Another advantage of consumers using contactless payment is that they do not need to remember a PIN, which makes transactions quicker. However, another disadvantage of consumers using contactless payment is that the maximum transaction is £30, which could limit the consumer and cause inconvenience. Now make sure that you just don't state the advantages or disadvantages, but you also give a development point on them, as that will give you extra marks. The next question. So Arabella owns a small business, Bella's Beans Bags, and making and selling beanbag chairs. Now Arabella sells these beanbags chairs at various markets each Thursday, Friday and Saturday. She buys the covering material and filling from a wholesaler, and she employs a member of staff to make the beanbags. The beanbags are made and stored in a small rented unit. She uses social media to promote the business. Arabella regularly sells out her stock and is struggling to keep up with the demand, and she's looking to expand her business and has asked for your help. Now we need to identify 2 different types of revenue expenditure that a small business is likely to have. Now this question is 2 marks, so you would identify 2 different types of revenue expenditure. Now some of the possible answers that you can give is inventory, heating and lighting. Now remember that if you write utilities, then you cannot write heating and lighting as well, as they are the same thing. Rent, rates, insurance, and wages. Now give 2 examples of capital income that a small business is likely to have. Again, it's 2 marks, so you give 2 different types of capital income that a small business is likely to have. Some examples would be a loan, owner's capital, mortgage, shares, debentures, and venture capital. Now, some calculation questions. So Arabella has been offered a contract with a local retailer to provide 500 small beanbag chairs. The retailer will pay only £12 for a small beanbag chair. Arabella has estimated that it would still take 30 minutes to produce each beanbag chair. Now she plans to employ a less experienced member of staff who she would pay a lower rate of £8.50 per hour. She would also have the following variable cost for the small beanbag chair. So the selling price would be £12, the material per bag would be £2.25, and the filling per bag would be £3. Now we need to calculate the total contribution for this order if Arabella accepts this contract. And this question is 3 marks. Now remember that whenever you're doing the questions, always write down the formula, as that will give you an extra mark. So the formula to work out the total contribution is total sales revenue minus total variable cost. Now to work out the total sales revenue, we look at the amount of units that are being sold and the price for them. So the amount of units that are being sold in this question is 500 small beanbag chairs, and the price that they're being sold at for is £12. So you do 500 times 12, and that gives you £6,000. So the sales revenue is £6,000. Now the total variable cost, we've got the materials per bag, which is £2.25. You've got the filling per bag, which is £3, and you've got £4.25. Now this £4.25 comes from the £8.50 that she's going to pay the lower experienced staff. Now remember that it would take 30 minutes to produce each bag, but she pays him £8.50 an hour. So to produce one bag is going to be £4.25, because you do 850 divided by 2. Then you add them together, times that by 500, because remember there's 500 beanbags being made, and that's 4,750. So we've got our total sales revenue and we've got our total variable cost. You take them away and that gives you your total contribution per unit. So your total contribution, and that gives us 1,250. Next question, calculate the gross profit margin percentage for this order if Arabella accepts this contract. Now to work out gross profit margin is gross profit divided by sales revenue times by 100. Now gross profit is revenue minus cost of goods sold. Now if you remember in the last question, our gross profit was 1,250 and our sales revenue was 6,000. So we do gross profit margin, which is the gross profit divided by the sales revenue times by 100, and that gives us 20.83%. Remember to round it up to the nearest digit. And always write your percentage sign. If it's asking for percentage, write your percentage sign, or whatever unit is asking you for, make sure that you add that unit to the end of the figure. Or if it's a pound, then make sure you always add the pound sign. Vineyard Resting Place is an independent record shop, and they're located in the heart of London. The business has a fixed cost of £50,000 a year and the variable cost of £5 per record, and a selling price of £12 per record. Now we need to calculate the number of records that need to be sold per year in order to break even. Now the formula for break even is fixed cost divided by selling price per unit minus the variable cost per unit. So our fixed cost, as it's told us, is £50,000 a year. The selling price per unit is £12, and the variable cost per unit is £5. So we do the fixed cost divided by the selling price per unit minus the variable cost per unit, and that gives us 7,143 records per year. Jack the Stripper is a local wood stripping business located in the south of the UK. Jack strips wood and sells it on to the local manufacturer who will turn it into furniture. Now he has provided his accountant with the following financial information from his statement of comprehensive income and statement of financial position. Now remember, the statement of comprehensive income is also known as the income statement, and statement of financial position is also known as the balance sheet. Now using the information in the table, we need to calculate the trade receivable days for the business. Now to work out the trade receivable days, the formula is trade receivables divided by revenue times by 365. So the trade receivables in this question is £48,000. The revenue is £435,000. So we do the trade receivables divided by the 400, divided by the sales revenue, times that by 365 days. So the trade receivable days is 40.28 days, 28 days. Give 2 ways that a customer can contact and interact with their bank. Now again, this question is 2 marks, so you would give 2 different ways. Some possible answers could be face-to-face, online chat, post, email, or telephone. Outline 2 benefits of planning financial expenditure. Again, this question is 4 marks. So you would get 1 mark for stating the advantage and then another mark for the development of the advantage. And you'd do the same for the second advantage. Some possible answers is planning expenditure, so you can control cost and avoid getting into debt. It helps ensure that bills are paid so that there is no legal action. And it helps ensure that payments are made on time, which will help improve credit score. Outline what is meant by the term drawings in a financial document. Now this question is 2 marks. So a possible answer that you could give is that drawings is money or assets that are taken out of the business by the owner for personal use. And the last question we'll go over is Max would like to know whether he is likely to break even this year. So he has given you some additional figures so that you can advise him. He's given you the fixed cost, the variable cost per event, the average price of event, and the number of events planned. Now the first part of this question is asking you to calculate the contribution per unit. Now to work out contribution per unit, you do selling price per unit minus the variable cost per unit. Now this is also the bottom of the break-even formula. Selling price per unit is £300. The variable cost per unit is £140, so you would do 300 minus 140, and that will give you 160 as your contribution per unit. Now hopefully this video helped you understand some possible questions that you'll get in the Unit 3 exam and how to go about them. If you like this video, then give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more. If you'd like to see updates on YouTube videos and resources, then follow my Instagram. If you'd like to see short business video clips, then follow my TikTok. And if you would like to see resources, then you can go to my test shop.